Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com for exclusive content. And right now, if you go to XRPwealth589.com, XRPwealth589.com, you can open up your free account with Caleb and Brown and start getting institutional grade custody for free. No hidden spreads, no hidden fees, one flat rate, multiple layers of security, and guess what else? Human customer service. You can't beat it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't mess around. Start getting the best night's sleep since you've been in crypto and open up your free account today. Let's look at this. $3.55 trillion market cap for crypto, and the market is up 0.3. Right now, Bitcoin sitting in 109,000 plus. Ethereum woke up. It's 2,700 plus. XRP right now is 229, and we're up 1.9 on the 24. We're up 3.1 on the 7-day. The range of price is ranging between 228 and 232. So we're getting really close to that 230, 233 mark, where they say if we close above that, it is going to be very bullish for XRP in a breakout. We'll take a look at some TA before we get out of here, but we have lots to look at, including recent Apex over in Singapore. So you want some of that. That's going to be Monica Long and Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz. We'll get there, but look at this. XRP exchange right now, and I just have to mute my phone here. I don't know if you guys could hear it going off, but I will mute it here really quickly. But exchange Uphold considers $1.5 billion IPO or potential sale. Whoa. Simon McLaughlin said this: recent news is true. Given the strong momentum in our business and the change in sentiment towards blockchain tech at a government policy level, we have appointed investment bank FT Partners to evaluate strategic liquidity options for us. This includes a potential U.S. IPO or a strategic sale to another company, such as a leading bank, broker, payment firm, or other financial institution. We are on track to deliver more than $300 million in revenue this year, compared with $80 million in 2022. Propelled by strong enterprise adoption, consumer growth, and exponentially strong U.S. customer base. For more than a decade, Uphold has stood for trusted digital assets. We remain the world's only fully transparent reserve, which publishes its assets and liabilities every 30 seconds. What matters most to us is that whatever course we've ultimately chose, our mission remains unchanged: to bridge traditional finance and on-chain money, broaden access to digital assets, and innovate responsibly for customers, partners worldwide. Blockchain's time has come like never before. Look, I'm so happy for Uphold, Simon, Nancy, and everybody else on the Uphold team. This is super, super exciting. And listen, I have a position in Uphold. I'm super excited and have always believed in them the way that they've always believed in XRP. So congratulations to them. Now, for fun, I did a AI Grok 3 back of the napkin, back of the envelope. Give me the price of Uphold opening share price at 1.5 billion valuation. And basically what they came up with, the conclusion was, is a valuation would put it between $20 and $40 a share, depending on the number of shares issued, likely 30 to 75 million shares. So that's why the range of price here. So it's a guess from AI, but that's what we're looking at, a range of $20 to $40 per share on the open. That could be very strong open right there. And if it happens anything like Circle does, it may end up going to $120 a share. So we'll see how that shakes out. Nonetheless, congratulations to them. Flair had this to say, shout out to Hugo and Flair: Wall Street, institutions, national businesses are all watching XRP. You know what? He's right. Yeah. And thrilled to announce Vivo Power have officially committed deploying $100 million of XRP to work on Flare networks to earn yield. Take a listen from Hugo himself.
And Flare to deploy $100 million in XRP for institutional yield generation.
The big part on there for institutional yield generation. One more time, for institutional yield generation. Now we're talking about a whole nother ball game. This is a whole nother animal. Institutions seeking yield and using Flare networks to do that. Uh-oh, watch out, everyone. Things are about to get really, really fun. Here you see, I told you it was coming from Chad Steingraber here. He says the Hashdex NASDAQ Crypto Index ETF, the SEC has acknowledged the 19B-4 filing. So we're getting closer, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting closer. ProShares, Franklin Templeton, target June dates for possible XRP Solana ETF approvals, signaling the SEC decision time is near. We got a lot of windows going on right now in this space. And we have another one too, which is the SEC versus Ripple case. Did you forget? We'll get there. We'll get there. But right now, what we're going to do, look who this is. This is the president of Ripple, Monica Long, and she's talking about institutional demand for XRP and real USD is unique in every way as she sits on stage with Brad Garlinghouse.
I think maybe the use case with bank-issued stablecoins is, especially with the large banks, where they create a network amongst themselves and they're using their issued stables for interbank settlement. So it's just making their kind of existing kind of legacy world interbank payment settlement mechanisms more efficient through blockchain, which is probably, but we have seen some examples of that, like I think JP Morgan's efforts were based on that. And this also calls back to like our first strategy and our first go-to-market was working with the big banks on a product, called RippleNet, and we found a lot of success there. So I also know from working with those banks as customers that there is a need for this, for greater efficiency and transparency amongst them.
Yeah, no, on the grapevine, we're hearing a number of communities considering this, and the work's going on, but I think they're in the pilot stage still to really come out and talk about it. The next one then, Brad, for you is...
And then close that down, but shout out to Monica for that response. And doesn't this go hand in hand what exactly we just heard Hugo Filion from Flare say, right? The institutions are looking for yield generation, not just retail, baby. Now let's listen to this about regulatory clarity.
From your perspective, Monica, what makes the current moment feel different, and how is Ripple supporting real adoption here?
Yeah, I think it's regulatory clarity more than anything, which in some cases is, it's taken time to get to where we are in this moment, but it's never been better, that's for sure. Singapore, an early leader through MAS, providing, regulatory clarity, but, markets around the world, and then, most recently, the US really opening up with the change of administration and a lot of progress, picking up momentum on legislation. And what that means is, we've worked with institutions for a very long time. I was calling back to like our first work with large banks. When you talk to the people who, work on payments, work on custody within institutions, they get it. Like they understand the value proposition and they find it compelling and they want to work with companies like ours. But the overhang or the cloudiness around how the regulators were going to treat this activity, it just wasn't worth the risk. And so I think this...
The tipping point, really.
That's the tipping point, exactly. I think that this has been really the turning point is regulatory clarity.
Okay.
It'll be slowly and then all at once.
Yes. So it reminds me of that...
Love that. Slowly, then all at once.
I think it's a Hemingway quote, which is gradually, then suddenly, and trends tend to occur. You slowly start to see it, and then bang, it's either going upwards or going downwards. Okay, I was going to ask what's slowing things down, but I think you've kind of outlined that to a degree. I'm going to quickly come back to that underrated, overrated, just for two more things. One is the Genius Act. Underrated or overrated?
Appropriately rated.
Okay, sitting on the fence.
For those of you who don't, so the Genius Act is the name of the stablecoin bill moving through the United States House. It has passed the House and now is in the Senate. I think is likely to pass, but that is focused on stablecoins, particularly not what we call market structure, which is I think also very important for the U.S., which that provides the clarity on what's a security, what's a commodity, what's a currency, those things. Hopefully we get both passed between now and August. But I feel, I mean, the momentum in Washington on these things is very good. No bill is perfect. I can point to things like, I don't love that, but you know,
isn't.
Perfection is the enemy of done.
Yes. Yep.
How about that? No doubt about it. Well said, Brad Garlinghouse and Monica Long. Now listen to this as a group of Bitcoin maxis, but not all of them, because I happen to know that this is Tillman Holloway right here from Arch Public, and he's been an XRP guy for a long time. But he's sitting with a lot of other people that are starting to recognize. They're starting to recognize what is happening. And what is happening? XRP emerging as a base layer for global payments.
For example, let's pick the two that I don't remember whether it was Tillman or Andrew mentioned. So two of the coins that are on there are XRP and Solana. XRP and Solana and a bunch of others are vying to be the base layer to support new transaction modalities. Now, boy, does that sound geeky. But the fact is that the way exchanges work and the way money moves when it is right now, everything is centralized exchanges. Everything is done via proprietary systems. Both XRP more in payments and Solana more in trading are vying to be part of a newer globalized infrastructure. If those things take form, so if Solana broadens beyond memes to trading of everything, then it's going to be worth a shit ton more than it is today. The total addressable market for providing that as a base layer is significant. The same thing with XRP with regard to payments and SWIFT. And if XRP underlies the stable coins that are become, you know, if basically not just RLUSD, but if Chase coin and JP Morgan coin all use the XRP ledger, then it will have value. If it doesn't, it won't. And so it really becomes a question of that word that I think it was Andrew that used, which is utility. If they have utility, they will be worth more. Elsewise on the screen, and of course you could mention Ether in the same thing in terms of tokenization. And
we get it. The reality is that wait till that guy finds out the Brazilian real stable coins on the ledger. 2 euro stable coins are on the ledger, right? It's like, it's not just about PNC and multiple digital dollar stable coins, which I believe we will see. Oh no. It's about all the money, my friends. All the money. And that doesn't mean every penny and every couch cushion. What it means is the possible pairings of everything that is tokenized of value. Here is David Schwartz on stage. Institutional adoption of the XRP ledger is gaining momentum, ladies and gentlemen. Take a listen to these numbers.
The XRP ledger, the growth is real. It shows a shift and scale over more than 13 years. 3.3 billion transactions processed, 6 million plus active wallets, secured by more than 800 nodes and more than 180 independent validators. So proven track record of reliability and decentralization. But this is not, sorry. I'm so sorry. I switched slides too early. I apologize. So this is a shift that we're seeing. Institutions are moving from pilots into production. Yesterday, we had the announcement of digital commercial paper live on XRPL. Real assets are coming on chain. Commercial paper, treasuries, money market funds, stable coins, all of these things.
Did you hear what he just said? commercial paper, which are promissory notes that are lended to people with very good credit worthiness, right? Corporations and corporates, and then money markets, and they'll buy it and they'll trade these promissory notes and all of this business. You know, listen to this piece right here.
Yesterday, we had the announcement of digital commercial paper live on XRPL. Real assets are coming on chain. Commercial paper, treasuries, money market funds, stable coins, all.
I mean, this is the traditional economy. That's what he's saying. This is the traditional economy, and I couldn't be more excited about every single bit of it. Now, just for the sake of time, I want to skip ahead and let you hear Jazzy Cooper and what she says about institutions.
Thanks, David. It's true, we're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business. Institutions have truly embraced blockchain and are finally launching real products on public chains, including the XRP ledger. And XRPL is evolving to meet that demand. Over the past year, a number of key features have gone live, ranging from the automated market maker to decentralized identity, price oracles, and clawback. And we have others that are still in voting: credentials, MPTs, permission domains. These features are foundational infrastructure for building secure, transparent, and scalable financial products. And we're not just modernizing finance, we're making it more inclusive, accessible, and programmable. And we're finally seeing real traction. XRPL is supporting real-world applications ranging from payments to yield generation, all decentralized and at scale. Let's take a look at what this growth looks like on-chain.
Love it. Look at these numbers.
David?
I've shown this slide at every Apex, twice at this one, apparently. But the momentum is real. This shows how the XRP ledger has scaled for more than...
You look at those numbers really quickly here. Look at this. 3.3 billion transactions. That's amazing. 6 million plus wallets. The numbers are remarkable. And institutional adoption is gaining momentum. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. And we're about to see legislation passed. The timing is remarkable. And speaking of timing, listen to SWIFT as they confirm it will use third-party digital currency via ISO 20022. Here it is.
In addition to being able to provide a better end-to-end client experience, frictionless payments also help SWIFT member banks be more efficient as a community, minimizing costly exceptions and investigations, enabling us to better compete from a cost perspective with new entrants and closed-loop networks, enabling member banks to leverage global open network that is SWIFT's strength with a more controlled payment orchestration capability backed by the rich structured data of ISO 20022 format opens up further opportunities for us banks to provide value-added products and services to our clients. But Tanya, I think, though, what excites me the very most of all,
keep listening,
and what I see as the biggest new opportunity for the industry related to SWIFT's new platform is the potential for integration with a variety of networks, rails, and third parties leveraging the rich ISO 20022 format and the transaction orchestration of the new platform to manage that interoperability, as well as rules of engagement with these rails and networks via a single central framework that provides transparency to manage that end-to-end experience regardless of settlement rail, be it real-time, faster, instant payment rails, be it real-time gross settlement rails, be it card rails, even e-wallet or digital currency networks. So,
or even e-wallet or digital currency networks. Oh, remember the people that try to tell you ISO 20022 has nothing to do with any of this. You know, there's a lot of people out here that would just love to lie to your face. There's no question. But the reality is they may want to roll around over the way you say it. But the truth is this has a role in allowing digital currencies to be integrated into the financial system. There's no question about that. Now, this is a clip from Apex, and the audio is not fantastic, but I had to take the music out of it, and I was able to, fortunately, so you could hear. The question is, how much of SWIFT will XRP Ledger take over the next 5 years? Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz talk about how much SWIFT will how much of SWIFT XRP Ledger can take in a 5-year period. And one, Brad answers 14%, and another, David says, talks about the hundreds of billions of real-world assets tokenization that's coming in the next 5 years. Take a listen.
Okay, Swift volume.
All right, let's get that. Here we go.
I was filming this last night in Singapore. You're not going to believe what they said. You're going to see many hundreds of millions of dollars of tokenized billboard assets fairly quickly. 5 years. Yeah, so, I mean, it's for a dumb reason. There's two ways to think about Swift. There's the messaging, there's liquidity. And liquidity is owned by the banks. I think less about the messaging and more about liquidity. Because if you're driving on liquidity, it's just for some move. Anyway, so I'll say 5 years, 14% of the reason is auditability. You know, in most of the problem with auditing right now is if I hand you a bunch of records and I tell you to audit them, you can audit them and you can say, hey, these records are cool, David's doing everything right. The problem is, how do you know that I don't owe somebody some money or have something out there that I didn't provide to you in the records that you audited? 14%.
And there you have it. And then he puts up some charts and facts and figures there. Okay. And then to go back to Grok 3 after all of that, which is remarkable, I said, you know, to Grok, I put it in here and I said, basically, how much money in payments does Swift process every year? I know they do messaging, but for the sake of understanding the amount of those messages, right? And it gave a range annually of 1.25 to 5 quadrillion annually. And then I asked, obviously, what is 14% of that total range? So 14% of that total range is 175 trillion on the low end to 700 trillion annually on the high end of that range. That's what 14% would be. So let's just say, you know, 14% in the next 5 years of that SWIFT and how much they could capture on the XRP ledger could be on the low end, $175 trillion moving across the ledger, especially when you come at it from the way Brad Garlinghouse talked about. You can focus on the messaging or you can focus on the liquidity. I think he's right to focus on the liquidity because the liquidity on the network is what is really going to provide the value to settle the amount of payments in large mass that you can't currently do today. So that's where we're at. And this is super exciting. Here, when is the next important date for the SEC versus Ripple case? Is June 16th, ladies and gentlemen. June 16th. The SEC 60-day reporting deadline ends, potentially signaling a breakthrough in the case, and some speculate the case could conclude as early as June 13th. And that means we could see something in the next 2 to 4 days, 2 to 5 days. So, wow. I mean, things are happening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, so is stablecoin legislation. So is market infrastructure bill. Things are happening on many different levels right now, all at the same time. Speaking of which, remember that 60-day window we were talking about with Eggrad Crypto? Well, he says XRP, TikTok MFers, bears, no room to move. So it's almost time to explode. The big question, will it break to the downside or skyrocket to the upside? And that's what we're about to find out. I couldn't be more excited where we are. All the fundamental news points to the fact that at some point we're going to see a .com era style breakout for the digital asset space. And I couldn't be more excited for all of us to see it together. Look, we're going into the Freedom Zone. You can join us, all your daily videos, no Google ads, 0 Google ads, extra perks, extra content. And we're getting into that right now. And you're going to want to join us because the conversation about the cons of this digital economy are really starting to come to the fore. And you need to know those just as much as you're excited about seeing your portfolio go to the moon. Again, not financial advice from me or anyone else. We're going into the Freedom Zone. Come on in. All